Have you ever had one of those situations where you run into the knockoff version of a well-known thing before you see the original? Sometimes it's just a coincidence, and sometimes it's because things arrive for you in the wrong order. It happens all the time in video games since things don't get ported very quickly, or localization takes years. Makai Hakkenden Shada is a transparent knockoff of one of the most popular games on the PC Engine. The only problem is that game doesn't arrive on the PC Engine for another 8 months. Ys was already a major success on computer platforms, the latest in a string of RPG hits from Nihon Falcom, and it had even already gotten a port to the Famicom. The key feature of Ys was its bump combat. You defeated enemies by ramming them, and if enemies rammed into you, then you got hurt. So combat became a dance where you wanted to hit things from the sides or behind, or a little offset. Makai Hakkenden Shada copies that combat system entirely. It also copies several more things from Ys, but we'll get there in time. Here you also have to bump into enemies from the side or behind, or just a little bit off to one side, and if you get hit straight on, you take some damage. If you played Ys, this is exactly the same. The title Makai Hakkenden Shada is a reference to the book Nonso Satomi Hakkenden. It's one of the most significant works of 19th century Japanese literature. A serial novel written over the course of decades. It tells the story of 8 brothers who are descended from the spirit of a dog. Look, that bit's kind of complicated. The point is, they've all got their special abilities, and a huge portion of the book is them gathering together to become a force for good. Hakkenden is enormously influential, and has been adapted or referenced or parodied more times than I can reasonably count. In fact, over the course of documenting game consoles, this is my 4th Hakkenden game. And that's just the ones that have it in the title. The plot of Makai Hakkenden Shada is that you're a descendant of those 8 dog warriors, but now one of the demons that they stopped is back, and he wants to use the power of a magic jewel called Shada to take over the world. Somebody's got to stop it, so it might as well be you. You start your quest in your home village, and you'll have to meet with the elder who will tell you what you need to do, as well as give you a bit of experience and some money. For some reason, story events in this game give you experience. It's one of those things that makes more sense in a tabletop role-playing session than it does in a video game. With the money, you can buy starting equipment. And by starting equipment, I mean a sword. You're 20 yen short of being able to buy armor to go with the sword. But there is a helmet hidden in the village if you go and talk to this tree by hitting the 2 button. You also use that button to talk to villagers, but villagers can talk to you if you bump into them at the appropriate spot, which can result in some annoyances as you bump into their trigger over and over and over again. Okay, you can leave the starting village and start fighting enemies. I've already gone over how the combat system works, but something useful to know is that you only get experience for fighting enemies of your level or higher, and all of the enemies in the starting area are level 1. So as soon as you level up, you stop earning experience. Of course, by that point, you should have earned your 20 yen and gone back to buy armor. You manage your equipment by pressing the select button, and you put something on by highlighting the row for that style of equipment, and then hitting right or left on the D-pad. Just like Ys. If you need to recover health, you'll need a medical herb that costs 100 yen. Then you equip it and use it by pressing the action button, just like Ys. Of course, if you don't want to spend the money, then you can just stand still, and your health will gradually recover over time. Just like Ys. In some areas, however, if you stop to recover like this, then monsters spring up around you. So you just have to run off to another screen, and then recover. Alternatively, if you've out-leveled that area, then those monsters can no longer harm you, and they become a quick way to grind up cash. You need a lot more money than experience, at least in the early stages of the game, so you'll probably have to resort to this. Okay, so you've gotten your armor, you've reached level 2, it's time to move on to the next section. And as you're crossing this bridge, A guy rushes out and starts talking to you, and then you fall over dead. What's happening here is he comes out and attacks you, and if you're at level 2 with maximum health, then you survive. But if you've taken any damage, or if you're still level 1, then you just get killed with no warning. When you die, you go back to your previous save. You save by pressing start, and then you can choose save and load. And this save and load goes to the system's memory rather than to a battery save, just like Ys. If you want to power off your PC engine and pick up Shada later, then you'll need to copy down the password, which is 55 characters long. Hope you don't make a typo handling that one. Okay, so you've made it past the bridge, and you're probably leveling up in this area because now there's enemies that give you experience. When you're ready to move on, you enter a forest that loops infinitely. You have to find a secret exit to get out of this one. That takes you to a big open area for your next round of fighting, and here you'll encounter some spiders that can poison your character. If you're poisoned, then you can't recover health, and the only way to recover from poison is to go to the second town and pay for an antidote. But the antidote costs over 100 yen, and you're only getting about 4 or 5 yen per enemy. So how do you handle this? Well, easy. You save the game, and then you load again. Since you can save anywhere, just like Ys, you don't even really lose any progress. While we're wandering around here at level 3, it's also worth pointing out that there is a bug at level 3. The health bar gains a weird brown block that floats a bit toward the end. Yeah, that's not supposed to be there, and it doesn't indicate anything. Also, the way your health bar turns from blue to green after you've been hit appears to be a bug. At least there's nothing in the manual that talks about it. While you're exploring, you'll have come across a guy who will teach you a magic spell. You equip it just like your other stuff, and then if you press button 1, you'll cast the spell, which will be an attack that goes a short distance, just like Ys. Casting a spell costs some of your hit points, so you'll probably want to be a little bit cautious about using these abilities. The path to the next town is blocked by a very small swamp that drains your health as you cross it. Once you reach the far side and enter the town, you're told that you passed out in the swamp, even though you really obviously didn't. If you did pass out in the swamp, then it's game over and you go back to your previous save. Not that any of the swamp stuff actually matters, because as soon as you've entered the town, you're given an amulet that protects you from the swamp. So, swamps in this game do pretty much nothing. That second town is where you can buy additional equipment, which you'll need because you're recruited to help rescue a kidnapped girl. At the very least, you have to get another sword, because when you approach the bandits' fortress, which is a convenient 5-second walk away from town, the guard asks to see your weapon, and if you agree, then he takes your weapon and runs off, opening the passage. So you buy a new weapon to increase your strength, and then have to lose it immediately in order to continue the game. And that's as far as I got while I was playing. From what I've read, that was about a third of the way through the game. Makai Hakkenden Shada is incredibly short, and almost all of your time playing is going to be spent grinding. There's not much reason to try to make progress until you've leveled up, because who knows when something big is just going to come out and kill you. You might think I wasn't that far into the game because I only have 1 of 8 crystals filled in the lower left, but after you finish this dungeon you get the second crystal, and then you get crystals 3 through 6 in the next 10 minutes of play. Before wrapping things up, I do need to mention one more thing that this game is infamous for, and that's how you have to open one particular treasure chest twice in order to continue. Later in the game, there's a treasure chest that you open it, and then after you collect the stuff in it, you have to open it again to get the quest item. Makai Hakkenden Shada is a game that loves punishing people. So what do Japanese players think of this one? I think the writer of the walkthrough I was following sums up the sentiments best. It's failed Ys. It is genuinely astonishing how shoddy Makai Hakkenden Shada is. Besides the wholesale lifting of Nihon Falcom's games, when they depart from that model, they make some exceptionally weird design decisions. On top of that, there's the bugs. It feels like this game was shoved out the door half complete. Makai Hakkenden Shada is impressively bad, but at least it's short.